You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 182 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Heward and I am with my second favorite person, Jeff Gargas. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm good. Second favorite. Can I guess who the first favorite is?
I dare you to guess. There's no way I'll get it right.
Oh, I was going to say it was TA, but...
Oh, that is who I was thinking.
Oh, well, then why did you think there was no way we get away? We just did a
know.
podcast episode with him.
We did. Guys, our guest
You thought I was going to say Rachel Hollis.
Or like anybody on our Teach Better team. There's a lot of options of who could be.
There is a lot of people. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But the important fact is that I'm number 2, apparently. I'm not able to be.
Well, hold on. You can't complain about that. Did you hear how cool this episode was?
That's true. That's really, I mean.
There's nothing there.
I think just because of the level of awesomeness of TA, if he's number 1, there is no number 2. There has to be space. So like I'd be number 3 technically. I just got like knocked down because.
Okay, Jeffrey Gargas. If there was really space and that's how we were measuring it, you'd be like 11th. Come on.
However, I would argue that the way TA is though, he's so awesome that he'd actually pull me up and make me number 1 with him. Because that's the kind of dude he is.
Sounds just like him, yes.
It does, doesn't it? If you're listening and you don't know who TA is, Timothy Alexander, I guess you're gonna after you listen to a little bit of this episode, you'll be like, oh, now I know what they're talking about.
Yes.
Anyway, before we do that, I want to do something that we've never done on this podcast. I don't know if I've ever done. I never do this. So like,
should we be nervous? Or should
a little bit.
Sit down?
Can we highlight Chad Ostrowski?
Who's he?
So like he was on the podcast really early on, but like we've never we highlight people every now and then, but we never highlighted Chad. And I just thought that'd be fun. Let's highlight Chad.
Yeah,
now,
we talk about.
That being said, we don't have to say all nice things.
Oh,
we just have to highlight. We didn't say necessarily highlight in a nice light.
That's true.
Or flattering light. Just highlight.
No, all jokes aside, we talk about Chad because he does a ton of work with the team. I mean, Mr. CEO, right? I mean, hello, creator of the grid method, but we don't really talk about him like as a person outside of the work he's doing. He's actually a pretty good guy, quite smart. I really appreciate him.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. This is about the work he does, but like I want to highlight and shout out the like some teachers have had to do for the last couple months is just this transition to remote learning and changing everything. Chad's life completely changed because Chad was spending 4 or 5, sometimes 6 days a week on the road in schools, working in person with teachers. And we've had to shift that completely to online. Now, granted, we came together as a team. We worked really hard on that, but he's had to get really comfortable really fast with controlling Zoom and breakout rooms and all these different things while still trying to bring as much value as we would in person. That and the response we're getting from our clients and our partner schools and people we're working with is, hey, we're getting just as much value right now, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, so, I know we like to pick on Chad. I like to pick on Chad a little more than I like to pick on Jeff, which I know is shocking to our network.
It's hard to believe.
Really hard. Chad. But Chad he really is like a genius. Like if you have not heard him speak on a live video, this guy is passionate and he is so grounded in these core values of how we can actually truly reach all students. And I've said it before, and I'm not going to get sappy and get into this long story, but meeting Chad changed my life. I mean, I don't say that lightly, and I really want you to hear it. He truly changed my life. And I love that we're highlighting him in this episode because I think there are a few people in your life that you interact with that make the most dramatic impact. And as we talk about those people, you can go to family, you can go to people that maybe like TA, like, oh my gosh, an incredible inspirational speaker. And then you go to like great friends who just make such incredible impacts. And I don't know that he knows that. And it's great because I don't think he listens to these podcasts, so he won't know, which is great. But I love that highlighting him because everyone needs people in their life that can really impact them that that deeply. And if you need a Chad Ostrowski in your life, just go email Chad and he can be your Chad Ostrowski.
Yeah. So it's crazy to say because I think about my life now compared to before I met Chad. Like, so some people may not know. Some people, if they've heard me on other podcasts, they probably know this because I tell this one a
Or
lot. But
or if you read the book, like the
if
Teach
you
Better
read
book
if
has
you read the
this.
Teach Better book, I talk in there. But I actually met Chad because I managed his band with my record label that I had, and then I had to shut the label down. We kind of didn't talk for a little bit, but he was a goalie, and I had him coach my team. We became friends, and then a few years later, everything came around with the grid method, and then we traveled the country for 2.5, 3 years straight together. And he's my best friend in the world. And it's crazy that still after all this time together, and so I've seen him speak a billion times. I've heard him speak even more. And just the other day, he was ranting about something, and I just stopped. I'm like, dang, this dude's smart. Like, that's the way we see it because we're not, we're just talking. We're talking about things that I know he knows, and like we're saying a lot of the same things a lot of times, because we're talking through trainings or whatever. But then you get him going, you put that quarter in and push play, like, and he gets on a rant, and he gets all passionate, and you're just like, oh dang, like dude's pretty smart. It's not just the grid method stuff. It's like
Well,
everything.
I mean, and I know again we like to pick on him, but truly the Teach Better team has grown so much in was it been 5 years, 6 years?
Almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years, and it looks different. Even you look back 2 years ago, the team looks totally different. And yes, Jeff, the world knows that you were a massive part of that, but Chad's that other side. You and Chad started the team together. Without you two, we wouldn't be here. This podcast wouldn't exist. These amazing connections, amplifying educator stories, reaching all students, the webinar we did today, like none of that would be here. And it takes amazing people to like have a vision and put it into action. And so I don't know, I appreciate you, but I really also I appreciate Chad. He's incredible.
I know
If
we're
you're
talking about Chad, but thanks, Ray. I got kind of rolled in there. I appreciate that.
well, if you're not connected to Chad, I very much encourage you. We
Yes.
both talk to him about 14 times a day, and he makes us look good. So you definitely should go stay connected to him and the work he's doing. He's an incredible educator. Honored to celebrate him in this episode specifically too.
Yes. So Chad, if you listen to this episode, let us know.
He doesn't. Come on.
Someone who's listening, make sure you tag Chad and see if he's listening to the episode.
Yeah.
The other person that you should absolutely go connect with right now is our guest today. So Timothy Alexander, TA as you call him. He's a speaker, he's a writer, he's a coach. In my opinion, he's like the word inspiration, just in human form.
Emmy Award winner. So much.
His website and everything is inspired by TA, and it's so fitting because the dude is just inspirational. Not only just when he's talking, and you get him going, he talks, and you can tell this guy's a speaker. He does this, but even when you turn off the recording, you're just talking to him and about anything. Like the guy he's positivity. He is builds you up. When I said earlier, I was joking about like I would be now in number 11, but he'd pull me up there. That's the truth. The dude's just positivity, inspiration. Just I mean,
well, so
I
genuine is that
yes,
you don't find
that's
that.
the key to it. That's the key to it.
I met him in a gym in my school, talking to my students, and they were changed after connecting with him. He's an amazing person, and he's so genuine. It's amazing. I love people like that.
He's got so many of these one-liners, these lines. He's just like, man, it's great, it's great. But you hit it on the head is the fact that behind all that, it's like this genuine just desire to help you be better and help you grow and get through whatever you're going through. And I just love it. I can't say much more. I think let's just get into it. Episode 182 with Timothy Alexander. All right, we are here and we are chatting with Timothy Alexander. And TA, man, it's so awesome to have you on the show here. We had you on one of our daily drop-ins with Ray, and I just ate up the entire session. I was so pumped. I was so happy that day that I'm the one who gets to grab that and edit it into the podcast episode because I got to hear it again, which is just awesome. I just love your message, what you're doing, just all over the place, the inspiration that you spread. I'm super excited to have that on Teach Better Talk now. Really excited to dive into your story more. But before we get too far in, man, how you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. I appreciate you all so much. You, Jeff, and Ray, and Teach Better. Thank you all so much just for allowing me to just come in and share my perspective. Last few days I've been I've been up and down by what's going on with this world, but through the passing of time, time heals all. So I'm doing better today than I was doing yesterday.
T, I am so glad you're here. I was looking forward to our recording. I know we were texting beforehand. I just appreciate all that you do. And anytime I'm able to learn from you, chat with you is a good day. So I want to make sure our listeners can not only, obviously enjoy the episode, but really learn about everything that you are currently doing and have done, because you are just somebody to be connected with. So would you mind kind of telling us how you describe yourself if somebody asks you what you do?
Yeah, so if somebody asks me what I do, I am a change agent. What I try to do is maximize the full potential in human beings by applying pressure in ways they believe, how they see themselves, their dreams, their vision. And so I just try to use my life as an example of we don't need it to be easy. We just need it to be possible. And so I know around the world, and there are people all over the world that tries to compare themselves to others. And so I help people understand that when you compare yourself to others, you become small in your own eyes. And so you have to figure out your vision, figure out your wants, figure out what it is that you want to go after, then go after it, because no one is better at you than being you. And so that's what I do. I help people discover the champion within, but I really help them respond to adversity. That way they can beat their chest and call themselves resilient. That's what I do.
Oh, I love that, and I'm so pumped up for this answer. This is one of my favorite questions here, but I'm just really excited to hear your answer to this one. So, one thing we always talk about on the podcast is failure. I always say that I've been fortunate enough to fail a lot in my life because I learned from all of it. Um, you're talking about a guy like you who's speaks all over the place. You got quotes and recommendations from some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment, all these different things, and you're always so positive and full of energy. I think a lot of people don't realize, like, hey, there's struggle every day. There's challenges. There's failures. There's things that you tried to do that maybe you've had to overcome and fight through, and things don't always go perfect for you. I'm hoping you can share a story with us about a time that you've had a failure, a challenge you've overcome. Kind of share what happened, how did you overcome it, and then what did you take away from that experience?
Yo, well, one of the times when I experienced failure, I never forget. This is after my car wreck. This is after the doctor tells me I have a 5% chance of ever walking or talking again. I never forget gaining feeling. And I'm at therapy and I start feeling my limbs and I'm feeling my legs and everything. And I'm excited that, man, I have feeling back and I'm going to be able to speed up the recovery. And I'll never forget the day after I got the best news of my life. I kind of hit rock bottom because the doctor was like, hey, it's nothing else we can do. We're going to discharge you. And so I went from just being so positive to instantly being negative because failure just took my joy. I thought failure took my peace. It took my happiness right then because it was a time where I couldn't move anything. Now I'm able to feel and everything at therapy. I'm able to feel my feet. I'm able to feel my therapist when they're tickling the bottom of my feet. And the doctor says, we expected you to respond based off muscle memory, but it's nothing else that we can do. You may or may not grow from this point. And so I just took failure. I took that. It did hurt me, but I just told myself, if I give up right now, my story will end. But if I keep going, my story will begin. Again, I told myself when it came down to failure, you may fail, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the ceiling, see it through. And so I understood that if I give up right now, my story will end. But if I just try to keep moving forward, then my story will begin. And so I used failure as an opportunity to learn, and that began to send me on a path where luck couldn't find me.
Hmm. I love that. That's exactly what I was hoping to come out of that. Was that right there? So speaking of your story, uh, the book "Ever Faithful, Ever Loyal." Can you kind of share what's in that book and sort of how that came about with us? I'd really like
Well,
to hear that.
Well, this book, If Ever Faithful, Ever Loyal, is a look into my life on how I told myself, hey, there was a time I couldn't read or write. Now I'm reading and writing a book. And my life fascinated with me so much that I used to tell myself all the time, TA, you have to fall in love with what you write. And then when someone reads your story, they will fall in love with you. And so I had to fall in love with my store because the store was too good to be true. No one would have never thought that this guy, the day after he had the leading block to send his team to the playoffs, the next day his friend fell asleep behind the wheel. He's paralyzed from the neck down. And the doctors are saying he'll never walk or talk or do anything on his own. He flatlined in the hospital, and it was just bad. It was no light at the end of the tunnel. But I remember just telling myself and saying to God, God, I don't need it to be easy. I just need it to be possible. And again, my story started beginning, and I began to just document different things, document my dream, because I knew this story was going to be too good to be true. But I understood if I can just write it down and get it in a book, it would be credibility. And so I was able to bounce back from being having a traumatic brain injury, to going to school, to graduating from Wallace State Community College. And then I left there. I worked at Allstate for a little while. And I had a dream like, man, my life is ending too soon. I got to go back to school. I still want to play ball. And I made the football team at UAB. I became the first paraplegic to ever receive a full ride in football, and I never touched the field. And when I joined the team at UAB, our football program shut down in 2014, and I was able to help lead a movement, the free UAB movement that brought back UAB football, bowling, and rifle, helped raise $48 million to bring our program and to bring the multiple program back in 6 months. And I told the school that when we came back, we would be bowl eligible and we would win a championship. And our first year back, 2 years later, I was able to keep my promise and not roll out of the tunnel, but walk out of the tunnel. We made it to a bowl game that year, and the second year we won. We became conference champions. And so everything was kind of spoken in advance because I had a vision. And everything that I wrote in the book, I saw it first before the world saw it. So I would just start writing about what was going to happen, but I just made sure I documented everything, and everything that people read about ever faithful, ever loyal is true. You have to be faithful to your dream. You have to be loyal to your dream. You have to be faithful to your team, to your organization, to whoever gives you the opportunity, because behind every thank you is an IOU. And so whenever I got an opportunity, I have wanted to operate in gratitude and go out and display my appreciation and reduce something great. And that's what I really wrote about in my book, about my life, on how I grew up in a single parent home and was on free and reduced lunch. Just I had the story of hard knocks, but I made it through because I kept going and I never gave up.
So powerful. So we talked about failure. Let's flip it. Let's talk about success now. Let's talk about a successful moment you've had. And this can be something big or small, but take us with a moment. What happened? Why was it a successful moment for you? And what did you take away from that experience?
Well, I'll just make it in layman term, man. I'm thankful for today. My success today is being able to wake up, number one, being able to wake up and being able to dress myself. There was a time I was paralyzed from the neck down. I couldn't read right. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And so, years later, I had my car wreck in 2006. 14 years later, I'm able to dress myself. I'm able to drive. I'm able to feed myself. And so that's success to me. I'm thankful for the little things because the little things lead to the big things. And so success to me is being able to put my shoes on by myself, being able to feed myself. I'm thankful over the little things. And so that's what success looks like. And I call it the TA mentality, being thankful for the small things because they lead to big things. And success is different in everyone. I'm thankful that I don't deal with depression. I don't deal with suicidal thoughts anymore. I'm thankful that I'm so successful that I'm one with my body. I'm one with my mind. I know thyself. And that's a success to me.
You know, TA, every single time we connect, I feel like I just sit in awe. I love listening to you speak. Your stories are so powerful, but really just your presence comes through so wonderfully. And I'm so confident that our podcast listeners right now are enjoying this. And I so appreciate that you not only do work with educators, I mean, you do work with a lot of different types of industries, but the work that I've seen you do specifically is really empowering educators and empowering students. And I'm so thankful. And I also really want our listeners to think about this idea that you can not only be inspiring to educators and when they're sharing this podcast with their friends, but the impact that you can hold a room of middle schoolers, which is actually where I connected with you on, is so important to expose our students to this type of powerful message as well. And when it comes to things that excite you, I can only imagine the list, I'm sure, is so long, but what's exciting you about the work you're doing? Maybe specifically in education, but maybe not, but in the work that you're doing right now, you must be able to see the impact, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I'll give you one of my stories. One of my great friends, his name was Greg Bryant. He passed away. He was in an accident in Miami, and I never forget when he got to UAB. He had never made the A that he had never made straight A's, and so I never forget just getting him to understand that it's a new day, it's a new season. You can be better than your best. And what I like about education is you can take what you've learned and apply it to someone else's life. Oh, one of my favorite acronyms is KISS. Keep it short and simple. And when I'm working with educators, when I'm working with athletes, when I'm working with students, that's what I like to do. And I never forget when report cards came out, when the semester ended, my good friend Greg Bryant was running down the sidewalk saying, "Coach, when I was in school, they used to make fun of me for we thought if you made good grades in school, that was lame. You wasn't cool. But I see in college, making good grades in school is where it's at." I'm like, exactly, right? And so it was just so exciting to see a mindset change. When I was in school, we didn't really care about grades. We knew you had, in my household, if you didn't make the grades, you couldn't play. So sometime I would do enough just to get by, or sometime I just succeeded, but no one was getting awarded for making good grades in school where I came from. And so to just challenge the norm, to disrupt society and say, be better than your best, and to see a life change and to see a young man that never thought he would be able to get to college, but he's making A's in college. That's a beautiful story. And I look at that and I use that for anybody, that you have to ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as a person who helped someone or as the person who hindered someone? Just as athletes remember coaches, students remember their teacher. And so you have to ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered by? And so I just try to be remembered by in education and football, on and off the field, that I took away excuse and I provided opportunity. That's all it is, Ray and Jeff, that at the end of the day, when someone talks about TA, he took away every excuse that I could possibly make and he provided me an opportunity. That's what I did with myself when I couldn't take notes in class. Okay, let's get a note taker. When it was hard for me to remember all this information, okay, let's go to tutoring. So let's take away excuse and provide opportunity. And by doing that, you will shock yourself. And so when I see teachers do that, when I see teachers love their students as they love their own, because you have a black male saying, "Hey, my first teacher that looked different from me was in kindergarten, and she used to tell me, 'Hey, I believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself.'" And so I being able to see that in education today, it really changes my life, because I believe that if we just had a lot of people taking away excuse and providing opportunity, this world would be a better place.
So, Jeff Gargis, have you ever connected with somebody who carries that teach better mindset any better than TA? I mean, I don't know that there's one person. It's so powerful. You've shared so much advice already, and I really love that idea of KISS.
Short and
Keep it
simple.
short and simple. I love that. That's a great piece of advice. I think that there are so many different elements that we could pull out from the things you shared to really empower not only our students but our teachers with this teach better mindset. Is that you like your one piece of advice? Like is that a great go-to that if you had to give one piece, it would be that KISS quote?
If I'm giving advice to a teacher or a student,
Sure. Well,
well,
I'd love to actually hear both if you're willing.
yeah, I'm willing. Well, my thing is when I sit down with athletes, whether I'm talking in collegiate or on a professional level, people don't like to be told, they like to be reminded. And so what I like to do when all the athletes come back, I'll remind them, woohoo, you made it, right? But what are you going to do next? Will you forget what you said you was going to do if you was given the opportunity to come and play football at UAB? Are you going to do what you said you was going to do if given the opportunity to come and coach at UAB? Because if you really think about it, when we were trying to get our job as educators, when we wanted to just have an opportunity, we was telling the superintendent, the principal, the PTA, we was saying everything. But somewhere along the journey, we got relaxed and we forgot what we said. And so if we want to make a difference, we have to remind ourselves what we signed up for. And so I would remind that teacher that, remember, you signed up to make a difference. Remember, you signed up to challenge these students. Remember, you signed up to take away easy, but to grant them possibility. And to the student, remember that you said, if I can just wake up and get to school, then maybe today will be better than it was yesterday. We just have to remind people about what they said, because truth be told, yes, it's hard. I tell educator, student, life to me is either you're going through something, you've gone through something, or you're going to go through something. That's life. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's about what you make it. So be bold, be brave, and be brief. You got to know that you know that you know that you can do this. Because teachers, if the students look at you and figure out, hey, you're not confident in what you're teaching, they're not going to be confident in learning. So whether you know it, if you got it or not, as my mama used to tell me all the time, even if you don't like me, at least act like it, right? And so I tell them to just really go in there and remind yourself, find the nearest mirror, look in the mirror and let yourself know you was built for this. Again, it's been 14 years for me. And I go to bed every night with expectation on walking again. And I wake up every morning. I didn't wake up this morning able to walk on my own, but that doesn't mean somebody else can't be my legs and my spine. It's the way you view things. The way you view things drives the way you do things. And so I challenge the teacher, how do you view this? Students, how do you view this? And I start from there.
That's powerful. I love the way you view things drive the way you do things. That's awesome. And you have so many like just these one-liners that you can pull out of this episode. I hope if you're listening right now to everything TA is saying, that you're thinking you're going to go back and listen to this episode all over again and take some serious notes. So I am loving this. TA, we're gonna put you to the test here. The next 6 questions I'm going to throw at you. You got 15 seconds or less to answer each one. Are you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
There's a trophy at the end if you can do it, by the way.
Ray will get you a trophy.
Okay.
Yep.
I want
Big
that
deal.
trophy, Ray.
All right. What's going to make it happen?
All right, here we go.
What is one piece of technology that you cannot live without?
Cell phone.
Give us a book you're reading right now.
I am reading the Bible.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
Inspired by TA.
What's a good YouTube channel or website for educators?
Teach better.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
They should wake up every morning and plan their day, because if you don't plan your day will plan for you.
And give us the best piece of advice you've ever received.
The best piece of my advice I've ever received is, it happens.
Oh,
Ooh.
nailed it. Get the trophy, Ray. Jeez.
I want that trophy, Ray.
It's going to happen. Let me tell you. There is a legendary Teach Better Talk trophy, and you have earned it. I promise you. You have earned it. That's awesome.
I hope if you're listening, you can. So just so you know, we don't have the cameras on, so I can't see TA, but I can see him. When I said you got 15 seconds or less, he went focus. Like he just locked in on that. I love it, man. That was awesome.
It's my favorite. Oh my gosh, you killed it. That's impressive. I'll get that trophy sent over to you.
Okay.
We did joke with our listeners a few weeks ago asking who was the last person that had it. So I got to look up who the last person was. We'll send you the Teach Better Talk trophy. I love that.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure in that episode, Ray, they were supposed to tell us who had it because we were giving it to that guest. So I don't remember what that guest was. So I have no idea where the trophy is.
But you know who will know? Brian on Twitter will totally know.
Brian Carpenter will probably let us. Well. Or potentially Alex. They're gonna face off. So let's just do this. Alex, Brian, don't let anybody else beat you.
Yeah, go quick.
Got to win this one. They're quick on it.
I love it. You know, TA, there has been so many elements of this podcast that I've loved. And this happens every single time. Like I said at the very beginning, every single time we chat, I love what you're doing. I'm a huge fan. And even just the nuggets you put in your Instagram stories, I mean, you are doing such amazing work, and I'm so appreciative. I want the entire world, everybody, to be connected to you and to be hearing your story and supporting the amazing work you're doing. Would you mind sharing how our network can get connected?
Yes, well, I appreciate those words, and that you are they can get connected to me by following me on Instagram, inspired by TA, or they can follow me on Twitter, inspired by TA, or if they want to talk to me directly or have me come out or request me, they can go to inspiredbyta.com, and my email is inspiredbyta@gmail.com.
Love, and you can find all the links, all the resources, everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as the really important links for connecting with TA, continuing the conversation, getting to know his message even more. So make sure you check out the notes over at teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing people, and share this podcast with them. TA, man, this was awesome, inspirational. I'm like pumped up right now, and I just really appreciate that. I really appreciate you, your message, what you do, and the fact that you took some time to hang out with us today, man. Thank you.
No, thank you all so much. And I really appreciate what you all are doing for the world and for the teachers, educators, administrators, faculty, and staff. I hope that you're not just listening. I hope that you are taking action, because I believe life has something not just for the hearers, but the doers. So be a doer, not just a hearer.
Oh, and with that, let's get out there. Let's teach better.
Thank you all.